We're gonna refresh the page. Yes, great. So that was the mistake. Now our website works. Hey folks, today we're gonna answer the most famous question: why doesn't my Apache server work? I have done everything correctly, but it still doesn't work. Don't worry, because we all have been there. I'm gonna show you how to configure Apache to use the different port properly. Let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is install HTTPD service. By the way, in Red Hat based systems, the service name is HTTPD, but in Ubuntu and Debian, it's called Apache 2. Anyway, I'm using Alma Linux, which is a Red Hat based system, so I'm gonna use yum install HTTPD, and let's provide this by option. Now I'm gonna enable the service, systemctl enable, and I will also use this now switch, which will also start the service. So now HTTPD. Let's check the status of the service. Okay, it is active and running. We can also confirm it in the browser. Let's open the Firefox. I will open a new tab, and I'm just gonna type localhost. So it will show you the default web page. Yes, that works. We can also check the which port it listens. I'm gonna use SS. Let's provide the options TLPAN, and let's grab HTTPD. Okay, you see that it listens to port 80 from everywhere. But the point is, let's say you want to configure the Apache to listen on different port. Let's say port number 8800. What we should do here, we should edit the listen port on the HTTPD configuration file. So I'm gonna open this file. It's located under etc HTTPD, and here we should have conf directory. Under that we have HTTPD conf. And basically, if you just scroll down, you will find this listen port. As you see that it is port 80, but we're gonna set it to port 8800, let's say. Now save the file. Then of course we need to restart the system, I mean our service, systemctl restart HTTPD. Okay, it says there is some problem, so let me just check the status of the service. So it says permission denied, couldn't bind to this address, and no listening sockets available. So what we're gonna do is, let's check the port SSL Tulpan. So we don't have HTTP service running. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna check if the port is open in the firewall. Basically, we are trying to troubleshoot the service. So I'm gonna use firewall D, CMD, and let's list all the ports. I mean everything, services, ports, all the things. Only these services are allowed. It means that the ports that are corresponding to these services are allowed. And in addition, port number 53, which is basically DNS. So this port is also allowed. But we don't see any port 8800 in the firewall. That's why I'm gonna open this port, or I'm gonna allow this port in the firewall. So I'm gonna use firewall CMD, and let's add the port. Which port we're gonna add? We're gonna add port number 8800, and let's specify it's a TCP port. And also I'm gonna make it permanent as well. Just say permanent. And now we just need to reload the system. I mean reload the firewall D. So firewall CMD, just reload. Now let's list all the ports. So I'm gonna use firewall CMD list all. And now you can see that this port is allowed. Basically we have opened the port in the firewall, and that's why the service should work now. So I'm gonna restart the, first of all, let's check the status. Systemctl status HTTPD. It is failed. I'm gonna restart it again. Now let's check the status. it is failed one more time. This is the case when most people think they did everything right, but however you need to understand that we are using non-standard ports. You can also see this new SELinux security alert if actually it is related to our failed service. But since we are using the non-standard ports, in Linux we have this SELinux, which is a security module that enforces access control policies to enhance the system security. Therefore, you have to check that if the port is allowed by the SELinux or not. First of all, let's clear the screen. I'm gonna check the status of SELinux, so I'm gonna use SE status. So the first line says it is enabled and the current mode is enforcing. It means that policies are applied. Now let me check that which ports are allowed for the HTTPD service. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use cmanage command and then port, then provide a list, and let's grab HTTPD. Sorry, it should be without D. These are the ports that's allowed for HTTPD. But as you already noticed, we don't have 8800 port here, 8800. That port is not allowed, we don't see it here. So what we can do is, how we can make like everything work, we can just disable the SELinux so that rules will not be applied, and that means service will work just fine. But this is not a good way. Disabling SELinux might temporarily resolve the issue, but it comes with potential security risk as it affects the overall security of the system. The best way is to configure SELinux to allow the required port. So let's do that. I'm gonna use manage command, then port, then A option for add, T option for type, what type. We're gonna use this type, HTTPD port T. Let's copy it. Let's paste it here. And then of course we have to provide the protocol. What protocol? TCP or UDP? We have to use TCP. And which port? 8800. Now press enter. Okay, now let's check if the port is allowed or not. Yes, the port is here, which means that it's allowed by the SELinux. Now let's open the browser one more time. If you refresh this page, it will not work because we are using port 8800. So let's use localhost 8800. It doesn't work. Let's check the service. Systemctl status HTTPD. Yes, the service is failed because we have to restart the service after enabling the port and allowing the port in the SELinux. So I'm gonna use restart HTTPD. It didn't give any error. Status is running. Let's open the browser. Let's refresh the page. So great, it works. Later, of course, you can also simply delete the port from SELinux policy. What you can do is you can just use cmanage command, then port, then D for delete, and then provide the protocol TCP port 8800. And if we check the port list, we just delete it. You don't see the 8800 port here. But now let's keep it here because I will also show you one more issue that can prevent your Apache service from working fine. That's why I'm gonna apply this port here. Now let's pass to another issue that can be related to SELinux. But before that, I would like to tell you something. If you're dealing with Apache, then I assume you already know what a virtual host is. So if you don't know, just Google it and you will find a lot of great articles about it. But basically, in simple terms, virtual hosts allow you to run multiple websites on a single machine just using Apache. I will quickly configure a virtual host. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open a new configuration file, etc httpd, and here we have conf directory and also we have conf.directory. for the custom configuration file, we have to use this conft directory, and under that I'm gonna create a new file. So I will call it, let's say, bugx.localhost.configuration. Press enter. And now we have to use the virtual host directory. We are configuring a new virtual host, let's say. So I'm going to use virtual host. Then which port? It will be port 8800. And from which IPs? I will say from everywhere. That's why I'm going to use $sign. And then we have to define the server name. So I'm going to call our server name. I will call it bugx.localhost. Then you have to provide the document root. So I'm going to use document root. And as a document root, we're going to say under var ww, let's call it bugx. You need to also define the log files. First, we're going to start with error log. Error log will be located under log directory, but here we have httpd, the service name, and let's call it bugx error.log. Then we have custom log. Custom log basically will be like the access log. So I'm going to use var ww, again httpd, but now let's call it bugx access log, let's say. And I'm going to use combine type here. I think that's it. Now let's close our virtual host. You have to use slash here. Okay, that's it. This is virtual host directive. We have also directory directive. This directive with the specified options and permissions is used to define how the Apache should handle requests to the var bugx directory. So I'm gonna say var bugx. Sorry guys, actually it should be ww bugx. I'm just gonna use two options here. I will say allow override to none, and also I will say require all granted. Then I will just close the directive. So I'm going to use slash directory, and that's it. The first option, allow override, we just set it to none, so it will specify that whether .htaccess files should be allowed to override the Apache's configuration settings for this directory or not. So since we set it to none, it means that .htaccess files will not be used to modify the configuration. And then we have the second option, which is called require all granted, and it will allow all users to access the directory. This setting grants access to anyone without further authentication. Anyway, now let's save the file. And we can also check the configuration. We have this Apache ctl command config test. Okay, at first we have warning. It says this directory does not exist. I'm gonna create bugx directory, don't worry. So this is just a warning. But we have error here. It says no such file directory var www.httpd for log file. Yes, there should be log actually, not www. Let me open the file. Yes, I think we just made a mistake in the custom log. Here it should be log. Let me save the file one more time and let's check the configuration. Okay, now it says syntax is okay, but we have just a warning. Maybe let's just create this directory. So we have var ww, and under that I'm gonna create bugx. And if I check the configuration one more time, everything is okay. And also I'm gonna create simple index.html file for this bugx. Let's say index.html, and let me call it welcome to my website. Save the file. Now clear the screen. We have to reload or restart the HTTPD service to take the configuration file, new configuration file. I'm gonna just restart it. HTTPD. Let's check the status. Actually, it didn't give any error, I believe. Yes. Now let's go to browser. Let's refresh our page. Great, our website works. By the way, you can also type bugx.localhost, and of course in port 8800 it should also work, because that's the main point of virtual host. Actually, we can add another virtual host and call it academy.localhost or whatever, and also provide different content on that virtual host. Anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the root directory of the virtual host. Let me open my terminal. So we have this configuration file, right? Sorry, not this one. This is the correct one. This is the configuration file, and right now the document root is var www bugx. Let's say that I would like to change this document root to var bugx directory, not var www. Now let's save this file, and I'm gonna create this directory. And also let's create a simple index.html file, so var bugx, and under that I'm gonna use index.html, and let's say subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Linux tips and tricks. We want to serve this content. Let's save it. Since we changed the configuration, we have to restart the Apache as well. So restart it. We can also check the status of our configuration. So everything should be okay. Yes, okay. Let's check the status of the HTTPD. It is running. Now let's open the browser. Let's refresh the page. As you can see that we already specified our root directory, and inside that directory we have simple index.html file which have very different content, right? But right now it just loads the default web page. Do you know why? Do you know what caused it? So let's do a simple troubleshooting. What's the first thing you can do? You have to think about it, because you will also get problem solving skills. It might be possible that you don't know the topic, you don't know how it works, but if you have good problem solving skills, then you will know where to start troubleshooting. So let's think this way. Before it worked, but now it doesn't work. So what changes we have made? We changed the root directory. So let's just simply compare the permission of var www and the permission of var bugx. So let's open the terminal. I'm gonna clear the screen. I'm gonna use lsl var www bugx, and let's provide the option for the directory. So this is the permission, and let's also check var bugx directory. They have the same permission actually. We can also check the index.html file. So bugx index.html, and also var bugx index.html. So again, the permissions are the same. Now what I'm gonna do is, so we have to check var www bugx, and this time I'm gonna provide that option for the SELinux. This is the configuration we got, and now I'm gonna check bugx, and of course provide DZ. I think you already noticed the difference. Their contexts are different. Context, I mean this one. Here it says HTTPD sys content, but below it says var t. Let me quickly explain what contexts are. So SELinux uses a concept called context to apply security policies to files, processes, and other resources on the system. Each file and process has a context that determines its allowed actions. By default, SELinux contexts are set to restrict unauthorized access and prevent malicious activities. And this HTTP/TCS content T context is a special SELinux context that is designed for web content served by the Apache HTTPD server. It allows Apache to read and serve files with this context. Applying this context to your website files and directories ensures that Apache has the necessary permissions to access and serve the content. So that's why we have to apply this context to this directory, var BugX directory as well. So let's do that. I will create a policy to assign the HTTP context to the document root directory and all child directories and files as well. So we have a special command actually for that. I'm gonna use manage, then f context, then a option for add, t for the type. Which type? We have to use HTTP sys content underscore t. And to which directory and files, I'm gonna use var BugX, and I'm gonna use wildcards here. So basically we have to implement the contents for every directory and files recursively. Let's do put the star sign and question mark, press enter. I think that's it. It says it is invalid. Why? Let me check one more time. Probably we have a typo here. Yes, there should be D, HTTPD. So here we have to add the key here. Let's press enter. The policy is created and it is ready to be applied. So we're gonna apply it. I'm gonna use restore con, and provide R for the recursively, V for the verbose, and to which directory? To var BugX directory. Press enter. It says it is relabeled from this context, var t, to HTTP/TCS content, and it implemented the rule for the directory and for the file as well. Now let's open the browser. It should work because we already created the policy. Now let's refresh the page. This is weird, it doesn't work. It just loads for the default page. Let's check our configuration because probably we have something wrong in the configuration. So I'm gonna use etc httpd conf.d, and we have bugx.localhost.conf directory. Let's check, but first let me check the configuration. Apache ctl config test. Okay, it seems everything is okay. Now let's open the file. So we have a virtual host that listens for all on the port 8800. Server name document root, that's okay. Var BugX. Everything is alright. Okay, I think I saw the mistake. We simply forgot to change this directory as well. It should be var BugX, not var www.bugx. Let's save the file. Since we made the configuration changes, we have to restart or reload the service. I'm just gonna simply restart it, httpd. It didn't give any error. Let's check the status. It's active and running. Now let's open browser. We're gonna refresh the page. Yes, great. So that was the mistake. Now our website works. So congratulations. Right now you learned a few things about SELinux and how you can prevent issues related to this security model. And we have also set up a spectacular virtual host, and right now our website is running on a different non-standard port. Basically, everything works. If you found this tutorial helpful, do not forget to subscribe for more Linux videos, and bye, and I will see you later.